Hello, everyone. So, again, welcome to our subject. And for today, we are about to discuss the completion of the accounting process for merchandising business. So, this is more on theoretical concepts about the completion of the accounting process for merchandising business, the business that buys and sells goods, okay, for its operations. Okay, so just what we have discussed in the service business. Okay, so eventually the accounting process for service and merchandising business are almost the same in terms of sole proprietorship. So let's just have a short review no, about the steps in the accounting process, which actually starts with the identifying and analyzing the business transactions, which you're going to journalize them. Okay, and then after journalizing them, you are going to post those transactions in the ledger. Okay, then prepare the trial balance. Okay, prepare for the worksheet if you're going to use the worksheet. Okay, which includes as well the adjusting entries. Okay, the preparation of the financial statements, which are the report. Okay, in our accounting process, and also journalize and post the adjusting entries, since step number 5 only includes the adjusting entries via the worksheet. Okay, then we have also to journalize and post the closing entries, okay, which is intended to zero out the balances of nominal accounts. Then we have also the preparation of a post-closing trial balance, which is an optional step, as you all know. And then, okay, journalize and post reversing entries, okay, which are intended to reverse some adjusting entries, which are allowed to be reversed. And that's prepared on the beginning of the next accounting period. And the cycle goes on and on and on. Okay, so that's the typical steps in our accounting process, which we have dealt already with our service business. Okay, so these steps, part of it have already been discussed in our previous discussion about merchandising business. And for today, we will be focusing on the completion part. Okay, so let's just have a quick recap no about what we have discussed previously tungkol dito sa ating merchandising business. Okay, so eventually we have discussed previously that the service business is different in the merchandising business with regards to the preparation of the income statement, and it contains various items that the service business does not have. Okay, example, okay, in our merchandising business, we have discussed that we have sales, which is the major source of income coming from merchandising business, the sale of goods. Okay, so we have the net sales. Okay, and we have computed that net sales based on the gross sales less any sales returns and allowances, and less any sales discounts if the customer have paid within the discount period. So that's our net sales. Okay, then we deduct from the net sales our cost of goods sold. Okay, so our cost of goods sold was being computed previously as the beginning inventory plus the net purchases. So if you have remembered the component of net purchases, okay, it is inclusive of what? The purchases, okay, less any purchase returns and allowances. Okay, ano pa? Less purchase discounts. Okay, then add tayo ng any freight in or transportation in. So that's our net purchases. Okay, then net purchases plus beginning inventory, then that would be our cost of goods available for sale. Okay, and our inventory ending would be deducted from the cost of goods available for sale to arrive at the cost of goods sold, which is considered as the major expense in a merchandising business, since most of our products, okay, sold, okay, will be charged in the cost of goods sold, okay, for their costs. Okay, so eventually our net sales less the cost of goods sold will be equal to what we so called gross profit. Sa ibang libro po, this is known as gross income. Okay, then we have also the other income. Okay, so let's say for example, baka meron kang rent income, interest income, okay, and other income pa, okay, items. Okay, then you deduct all of your expenses other than the cost of goods sold, okay, such as salaries expense, your taxes expense, or even your utilities expense, okay, depreciation expense. So it will be part of the expense items, okay, to arrive at the net income for our merchandising business. Okay, so we have already dealt on this item one by one doon sa ating previous discussion about um, the accounting for merchandising part 1. Okay, so if you cannot remember it, you can visit again the video discussion for that one. Okay. So again, if you do have questions, please let me know on our respective chat boxes, okay? Or comment your question on this video, okay? So to continue with our recap, okay, so we have also previously discussed that in merchandising business, we have two inventory systems. Okay, we have the periodic and perpetual. So sa periodic, we have discussed that the physical count is necessary, okay, in determining the quantity on hand or kung magkano po yung matitirang amount ng inventory to be reported in our balance sheet. Okay, also under the periodic inventory system, we maintain the purchases accounts, okay, the freight in, okay, also the purchase returns and allowances accounts and purchase discounts. So yung kanina, 'di ba, na nagamit natin in the computation of the net purchases. Okay? So those are the things that we have discussed in the periodic inventory system as indicator, okay, for it to be used in our journalizing of the transactions related to inventories. Okay. On the other hand, okay, companies may also use perpetual inventory system. Okay, so when we talk about perpetual inventory system, no, there is a continuous track on the changes, okay, for our inventory account. Okay, unlike with the periodic, in the perpetual inventory systems, okay, all purchases and sales natin of merchandise, okay, will be directed to our inventory account. So we do not maintain in the perpetual inventory system mga purchases account, the freight in account, purchase returns and allowances, as well as purchase discount. So wala po nun sa perpetual. And when there is a sale, okay, for perpetual inventory system, our cost of goods sold should be recorded immediately after the entry of the sales. Okay, and also we have the continuous track since we are monitoring the inventory and the cost of goods sold. So unlike the periodic, no, monitored natin sa perpetual yung cost of goods sold and inventory, while in the periodic, we just determine magkano yung inventory natitira by physical count, and then yung cost of goods sold, kukomputin pa natin. Okay, so that's what we have talked about periodic and perpetuals. Again, if you haven't um, tried to watch the video, or you have forgotten about periodic and perpetual inventory systems, then you can visit the other video about periodic and perpetual inventory systems. Okay. Also, we have discussed about the special journals or the different types of journals, okay, which includes the general journal and also the special journals, which are used for frequently occurring transactions. So meron po tayong apat na special journals. Ano nga ulit yon? We have the sales journal, we have the cash receipts journal, we have also the purchases journal, and we have the cash disbursement journal. So these various special journals are intended for frequently occurring transactions. While the general journal, okay, if used, okay, will contain the um, adjusting entries and other entries that cannot be found in the special journals. But if general journal was only used, then malamang sa malamang lahat ng transactions natin, even the adjusting and other types of entries, will just be recorded in the general journal if we just simply use the general journal. Okay, so if you have forgotten already about the use of special journal, you can again visit our video discussion about special journals. Okay, also we have discussed the ledgers, no, that were being used by the merchandising business, such as the general ledger, which is the common ledger being used, and the subsidiary ledger, which contains the more detailed, no, um, items with regards to a specific control account, such as accounts payable or even accounts receivable subsidiary ledgers. Okay, so after you have journalized all of the transactions and then posted them in the respective ledgers, then the next step was actually to prepare the trial balance. Okay, so let's just have again a quick recap with regards to the purpose of the trial balance, since the preparation of trial balance for the merchandising business is the same with our service business. Okay? So parehas ang merchandising and service as to the preparation of the trial balance. So the purpose of the trial balance is to what? Verify no the equality between the debits and credits in the ledger. But actually, if you have remembered, 'di ba, the checking of the equality of debits and credits should be checked where? When? Sorry. Kailan dapat? Pag nag-prepare lang ba ng trial balance? The answer is no, 'di ba? Because the checking of the debits and credits, okay, should happen at every point of what? Every point or every step in the accounting process. Okay, in every step of the accounting process, we should check the equality of the debits and credits, but we just simply formalize it in the trial balance for those that have been posted in our ledger. Okay, so in the trial balance, we lists all of the accounts, okay, their account titles, as well as their respective debit and credit balances. Okay? So we are referring to their what? Normal balances. Pag sinabi nating normal balances as discussed previously, okay, this refers to the what? The um, side, whether debit or credit, where that account increases. Okay? And how do we prepare again the trial balance? Okay, you just simply, aside from putting the label, di ba, yung title ng trial balance, you are going to list the account titles based on what? Okay, the numerical order in the chart of accounts. So meaning, kung chart of accounts ang pagbabasihan, we should prepare the trial balance asset first, and then liabilities, then our equity or capital, then saka tayo maglalagay ng income, which comprises of our revenue and gains, okay, and all of the expenses. Okay, so do not forget that arrangement, since that should be the proper arrangement once we prepared the trial balance. Okay, then after that, no, after listing the account titles in the trial balance, okay, you need to put the account balances coming from where? The ledger. Okay, so in the discussion of our ledger before, we have what we so-called pencil footing. So kung ano po yung nasa pencil footing natin sa ledger, that would be entered into our debit or credit columns of the accounts. Then afterwards, you just simply add whatever are the amounts in the debit columns as well as in the credit columns, then compare the total, and the total should be what? Equal, since this is trial balance, and that is the goal of the trial balance, to show the equality between the debits and credits. Okay, so any questions or clarifications, just please let me know. Okay, so I hope na nakikinig po tayo, ha? Okay, so after the trial balance have been prepared, okay, so the next step, okay, would be the worksheet preparation. If you are going to opt, okay, the usage of worksheet, because as you all know, no, as mentioned also to you previously, the worksheet preparation is actually an optional step na lang. Okay, so this is just an optional step, because even though we're going to prepare the worksheet or not, then the step will still continue, okay, and the result will still be the same, provided that we have recorded correctly all of the transactions and other steps that we have to discuss again later. Okay, so with regards to the worksheet, once we prepared it, okay, so it will aid the preparation of the financial statements. Okay, and the worksheet is actually a columnar sheet of paper. So typically, yung ginamit natin sa class or ginagamit natin sa class are the 10-column worksheets. Okay, but some may use the 8-column worksheet as well. Okay, so which summarizes the information, okay, to make adjusting and closing entries and to prepare as well the financial statements. So this worksheet are tools no being used by accountants, okay, and is not part of the formal accounting record. That's why it's an optional step kasi it's not a formal accounting record naman compared with the previously discussed na mga formal records natin. Okay? So inside that worksheet, no, we will encounter again the adjusting entries which are prepared at the end of the accounting period to update or to adjust the balances of our accounts. Okay? So let's just have a quick recap about adjusting entries. No, in our service business, we have discussed six adjusting entries, and typically, no, these adjusting entries are the same. Okay, with the merchandising business. Okay, so we have the accrued revenues, which are the revenues or income that were earned, no, that we have already provided the services or in terms of service business, and then for merchandising, we have already delivered the goods but we have not yet received no that particular amount. Okay, so that will be recorded as an adjusting entry for accrued revenues. Also, on the other hand, we have the accrued expenses, which are expenses that you have incurred or used during a particular period, okay, but you haven't paid them yet. Okay, so we require adjustments on that. No, we debit expenses and we credit what liabilities. Samantalang we have the prepaid expenses, which are expenses that have been paid in advance but not yet incurred. Okay, so we have paid them okay in advance. Okay, and in the preparation of the adjusting entries for the prepaid expenses. Okay, so we should determine whether asset method ba or expense method was being used. Okay, so that we could be able to adjust them properly. Okay. Then we have also an earned revenue, okay, which are income or revenue natin received na in advance, but we haven't earned yet or even delivered the goods. Okay, so in this unearned revenue, we have discussed that we have two methods, okay, that either of them could be used. Okay, we have the liability or the income revenue method. Okay, so either of the two will be used, and we should determine properly whatever would be the method used so that we could adjust the account properly. Okay, on the other hand, we have as well depreciation, which are representing the decrease in the value of the asset. Okay, and it is defined in accordance with IAS number 16, paragraph number 6, as a systematic allocation of the asset's depreciable amount over its useful life. Okay, so again, that's depreciation, now recording the decrease in the value of the property, plant, and equipment. Okay, and last that we have discussed already in our previous discussions are the bad debts, no? Okay, bad debts or doubtful or uncollectible account, which is representing the amount, no, that our receivables may not be collected, no, as a whole. Kasi there would be sometimes, no, possibility that the customer may encounter let's say for example problems no in terms of their cash flows, hindi sila makapagbayad, kaya we are already estimating that those customers may not pay their obligations to us. Okay, so it's more on conservatism that we are practicing, okay, to ensure that we will not overstate our net income as well as our accounts receivables. Okay, so in the bad debts expense, we debit bad debts expense or doubtful accounts expense or uncollectible and credit yung contra account natin, which is allowance. Okay, so these are the six adjusting entries that we have already discussed in our previous discussions. Okay, so since we're talking about merchandising business, this six will still appear here in the merchandising business, but we have an additional adjusting entry, which is referring to our okay merchandise inventory. Okay, so remember that in our discussion of the periodic and perpetual inventory system, okay, so in the periodic inventory system, um, we denote and we get our amount of inventory coming from our physical count. Okay, that's why any changes okay in our amounts should be adjusted in our accounting records. Okay, so this is the first and typically used adjusting entry for merchandise inventories. Okay, so first one, no, you need to transfer yung beginning balance ng inventory to income summary account. Sir, hindi ba pang closing entry yan, income summary account? No. In merchandising business, okay, so this will serve as part of our adjusting entry. Okay, kasi we need to transfer the beginning balance to the income summary as if no na itong mga beginning balance na amounts were being sold already during the period. That's why kapag in-adjust natin, okay, so the first is to debit income summary, no? The amount of the beginning inventory and credit tayo ng debit income summary and credit merchandise inventory. Okay, so this is to transfer the beginning balance of inventory to income summary. Okay, yun ay kung may beginning balance ka ha. Pag wala kang beginning balance, of course, this first adjusting entry will not be written in your journal. Okay, tandaan mo yun. So pag may nakita ka, okay, start of the period, ito yung balance, okay, malamang sa adjusting entry, you need to close that or transfer that to the income summary. While, of course, no, since in the periodic inventory system, we have physical count, you need also to establish magkano ba talaga yung ending balance ng inventory natin. Okay, so to establish the ending balance of the inventory, okay, so we will be debiting the counted no, inventory at the end of the period, which is to debit the merchandise inventory account and to credit naman the income summary account. So as you prepare the worksheet no, na ipapakita natin in the separate video about preparation of the accounting process for merchandising business, okay, so eventually in your worksheet, you can find there already income summary na hindi natin nagamit in the service business until closing entry. Okay? Kasi closing entry dati yan sa service business but in the merchandising no, nasa adjusting entry. Okay? So are we clear on that? Okay, so merong ending balance kasi we will have physical count unless talagang ubos yung stock mo. Kaya kung wala kang ending balance, then wala rin tayo nitong huling adjusting entry na to. Okay? So, sir, periodic lang ba ang may adjusting entry? Okay, for merchandising? Okay? No, because when the company uses perpetual inventory system, no, possible din na magkaroon ng adjustments. Okay, but remember that we have discussed in the perpetual inventory system discussion that any adjustments will only happen if there would be difference between the accounting record natin since in perpetual we seem to monitor it, no, yung ating inventory account compared it with the physical count being done no at the end of the period. Okay, again in perpetual our physical count is not necessary but they can what count the merchandise for control purposes. Okay? So, pero usually itong pinipresent ko dito na theoretical entries will applicable to our periodic inventory system. Okay? So there are also other alternative no, with regards to this adjusting entry that you can found in other books. Okay, so here is now the alternative with regards to adjusting the merchandise inventory. So when I say alternative, this is not the major one that we're going to use in the class, but rather yung nasa previous slide kanina. Okay, so just in case, no, pwede nyong i-compare kasi yung beginning inventory and the ending inventory. Okay? So, eventually, pag nag-increase, no? So, let's say for example, dati beginning mo 100,000 lang. Then, nung nag-physical count ka at the end of the period, let's say, ang nabilang mo 150,000. Okay? So, ang ginawa doon sa previous slide natin na adjusting entry for merchandising, i-close mo muna tong 100, di ba? So, debit ka ng income summary and credit ka ng what? Merchandise inventory. Pero, no, yung closing naman or sorry yung ending balance we will be debiting merchandise inventory 150,000 and you credit income summary. So yun yung previous slide. But in this case, no, what will happen is you will just simply recognize the increase in the inventory. So we will be debiting the merchandise inventory which is our increase. Okay, so magkano increase dito sa example ko? The increase was actually from 100 going to 150 is 50,000. Okay? So, hindi nyo na manonotice na meron pang dalawang separate entries. Okay? Then, you will be debiting cost of goods sold. Okay? So, magko-compute ka ng cost of goods sold. Okay, and then you debit the purchase returns and allowances, debit purchase discount, and credit purchases. So actually, itong alternative na to is being considered already as an adjusting entry for the merchandise inventory, and it will serve as a closing entries for some of our nominal accounts such as purchase returns, purchase discounts, and purchases kasi zero out na natin sila dito. Okay? So again, this is only if there is an increase. Okay? On the other hand, if there would be decrease naman, so baliktarin natin, no? Halimbawa, 90,000 yung beginning mo, inventory, then naging 60,000 na lang. Okay, so nag-decrease yung inventory. So what can you do for the adjusting entry? Okay, simply compute again the cost of goods sold. So you will debit the cost of goods sold, then you will debit purchase returns and allowances, debit purchase discount, credit purchases, and then yung decrease, which is how much here, we have a decrease of 30,000, then that would be credited on the merchandise inventory, 30,000. Okay, so hindi ibig sabihin itong alternative na present ko dito itong dalawa, no? Parehas silang gagamitin nyo. Hindi. Okay? Unlike with the previous slide na dalawang entry kung may beginning and ending, itong alternative natin, you need to choose only whether kung nag-increase or nag-decrease yung inventory. Okay, but this is just an alternative, no? Ako naman sa klase, no? This is not the major one that I am using. Okay? Kaya kampante kayo. Okay, dito sa alternative na to kasi bihira ko siyang ginagamit. But what is more likely that we will be using will be the previous slide na dalawang entry, no, to close the big or to transfer the beginning balance to our income summary and to establish the ending balance. Okay, so are we good on that? So we will give as well examples of this, no, as we discuss the problem part of the completion of the accounting process. Okay, so again, if you do have questions, kindly let me know lang sa ating respective chat box. Okay, so pag pagod ka nang nakikinig, you can pause for a while. Okay, get your coffee or chocolate, whatever it is. Okay, you can drink water or you will have a CR break. Okay, then bumalik ka kasi we are not yet finished. Okay, so ayan, no? So, these are just the adjusting entries. So, bali pag merchandising, pito na sila. No? Yung unang anim kanina na accrued expense, accrued revenues, prepaid expenses, unearned revenues, depreciation, bad debts, no? Idadagdag mo pa yung merchandise inventory. Okay? So, next, after we have considered the adjusting entries and prepared the worksheet, okay? So, oh, by the way, na, let me just remind you again that the worksheet is a working tool used by the accountants, no? And it is an optional step. So, pwede natin siyang skip, okay, and proceed with the other steps. So, mamaya in the last part of this theoretical discussion, okay, so I will rearrange the steps in the accounting process if wala po yung mga optional steps natin. Okay, so from the worksheet that you have prepared, okay, so you will now prepare the financial statements. Okay, so we will be dealing financial statements one by one again on our succeeding discussions. But let me just again remind you about this financial statements. Okay, so you have your balance sheet or the statement of financial position, which lists all of the amounts and accounts related to asset, liabilities, and your equity as of a specific date. Okay, it shows actually the financial position of the entity. Okay, then we have the statement of comprehensive income or the income statement, which summarizes our income and expenses for a specific period. Okay, so doon yung nakikita yung income and expense elements on which ito talaga yung pinaka-major na difference ng service and merchandising. Dahil na rin doon sa na-present natin kanina na may net sales, may cost of goods sold, and gross profit. Sa balance sheet po, ang pinagkaiba lang ng service and merchandising is more on the inventory account. Kasi sa service business, we do not have merchandise inventory. No? Dito sa merchandising business, we have already the inventory, which is considered as an asset. Okay? Then the rest will be the same almost na with the service and merchandising. So the statement of changes in equity, which is actually the summary of the changes in our capital, which includes yung investments, the net income or loss, and even withdrawals by the owners. Okay, then we have also the statement of cash flows, okay, which represents the amount of cash being received and disbursed or paid during the period. And of course, the explanatory notes natin or the notes to financial statements, which is the summary or narrative description or analysis of the details on the presented financial statements. Okay, so don't worry, guys, these financial statements will be discussed for this subject, no, one by one in detailed manner, okay, in our finals part. Okay, so ayan, if you have again questions, please let me know. Okay, so after you have prepared the worksheet, then prepare the financial statements out of the worksheet, then saka mo pa lang po i-journalize yung adjusting entries. So again, the purpose is to update the balances. Hindi na tayo magtatagal dito since na-discuss naman na natin kanina yung mga adjusting entries natin. So dito pa lang talaga siya formally ma-journalize and post since in the worksheet, they will just be used on our adjustments column. Okay? So after you journalize and post the adjusting entries, then you are now going to prepare the closing entries. Okay? You're going to journalize and post them. And the purpose of our closing entries are to what? Close or to zero out yung temporary or nominal accounts natin and we transferred them to net income or net loss, okay, to equity. Okay, so our closing entries are those entries required when at the end of the accounting period. Okay, so that our temporary accounts, okay, will be zero out, okay, and they will be ready to receive data for the next accounting period. So ano-ano po ba yung mga temporary accounts natin? So we have the income, 'di ba? We have the expenses accounts, okay, including the cost of goods sold there, kung meron kayo account title ng cost of goods sold. And then we have also the income summary, okay, which is actually sabi dito, a clearing account for the income or net loss, 'di ba? Or pass-through account natin 'yan. Na kanina na notice din ninyo na may income summary na doon sa adjusting entries. And then we have also the drawing account or your withdrawal. Okay, so isa-isahin natin sila, no? If you can recall, the closing entries natin for service business, medyo may konti lang na difference, no? Kasi may mga additional accounts na nagamit in the merchandising business na wala dun sa service discussions natin. Okay, so we have, okay, number one, okay, to close the credit balance. Dati ito ay to close the revenue accounts, pero in this case, no, lahat ng credit balance nominal accounts natin, such as yung sales, purchase discounts, and purchase returns and allowances. Take note, guys, itong purchase discount and purchase returns, nandito siya kasi what we have used as adjusting entry was the first adjusting entry with regards to merchandise inventory. No, hindi natin ginamit yung alternative kasi kung alternative 'yan na zero na to, so wala na dapat to dito, no? Pero again, we are just using the initial merchandise inventory adjusting entry natin. Okay, so again, dinidebit natin lahat ng credit balance nominal accounts such as sales, purchase discounts, and purchase returns and allowances to zero them out. Okay, and we credit the pass-through account or clearing account, which is our income summary. So once you have journalized this and posted the amounts in the ledger, then your credit balance nominal accounts na naka-indicate dito are all having a zero balance na after closing. Okay? Then after the credit nominal accounts, no, we have to close as well the debit balance nominal accounts, which includes yung purchases, yung freight in or transportation in account, yung sales discounts, sales returns and allowances, as well as lahat ng inyong expense accounts, including cost of goods sold if you have the account title of cost of goods sold if the alternative was being used. Okay? So, itemize isa-isa lahat ng expenses natin and then we debit income summary account. Okay, so the difference between the service and merchandising closing entry lies on these first two closing entries. Kasi wala nga itong mga accounts na to in the service business. Okay? So I hope that you can still follow, no, na after natin ma-post itong mga debit balance nominal accounts na to, okay, then closing entry, then our balance will already be zero. Okay? So after nyong ma-close lahat ng almost revenue and expense accounts, no, we have also to close the income summary, which is yung pass-through account natin or clearing account for the revenue or net income and net loss during the period. Okay, so we transfer it to our capital. So if ever that you have an income, okay, a net income, so you will be debiting income summary and you credit the capital account. Okay, pero pag may net loss ka, okay, itong nasa baba, net loss, yung nasa taas is for net income. Okay, so for the net loss, we debit capital and we credit income summary. Okay, so lastly, no, for the set of closing entries, okay, we need to close the drawing account, which is also a considered nominal account. So drawing has a normal balance of debit. Okay, so in closing it, we debit the capital account and then we credit the drawing account. So after posting them, okay, then our drawing account will have a zero balance already. Okay, so that's how it works for our closing entries for merchandising business. We close the credit balance nominal accounts. No? You can use this as a description na dun sa journal entry nyo to close the credit balance nominal account. Okay, then sa number 2, to close the debit balance nominal accounts. Then for number 3, we have to close the income summary to our capital. And lastly, if you have withdrawals or drawing, then you close the owner's drawing account to the capital. Okay, so after you have journalized and posted the closing entries, then we have already zero nominal accounts. So what is remaining are only our what real or permanent account. That's why we can also prepare after the closing entries, no, yung tinatawag po natin na post-closing trial balance. Okay, so the purpose of this step for the preparation of post-closing trial balance, okay, is to actually check the equality between the debits and credits after the closing entries were posted. Kanina, in our original trial balance or an adjusted balance or trial balance ang tawag natin doon, okay, so we check the equality of the debits and credits after we have journalized and posted all of the transactions, no? But in this case, no, post-closing trial balance are only prepared after the closing entries have been journalized and posted. And the post-closing trial balance, okay, um, is a trial balance as well, but it is prepared after the adjusting and closing entries processes are finished. Okay, so eventually, just like the worksheet preparation, okay, the preparation of post-closing trial balance is considered as an optional step. Okay, so let me just show you an example of a merchandising post-closing trial balance. Okay, so as you can see, we have the assets, no? Okay, wherein, as you can see, you have the merchandise inventory since this is merchandising business. Okay, asset first. Okay, then we have the liabilities, no, lahat ng payable. And then we have our capital na lang or equity. So wala na kayong makikita na nominal account since we have already zeroed them out in the closing process. Okay? And as you can see, no, balance naman po yung ating post-closing trial balance. Okay? So again, if you do have questions, please let me know. Okay? And finally, no, in our step number 10, okay, it is more on journalizing and posting our reversing entries. So the purpose of this step is actually to simplify the recording process of the certain regular transactions in the next accounting period. And we define reversing entries as the entries that have been prepared at the start, no, of the next accounting period. Yung adjusting kasi prepared at the end of the reporting period. Yung closing entries prepared as well at the end of the reporting period. But reversing entries are prepared at the start of the next accounting period. And again, the purpose is to simplify some certain transactions. And what are those? No, just like in the service business that we have discussed, we can only reverse the accrued expense adjusting entries, accrued revenues adjusting entries, the prepaid expense adjusting entries under the expense method. Okay, then we have also the unearned revenue under revenue method. Okay, so yan lang po yung allowed na i-reverse natin. So we cannot reverse yung prepaid expense under asset method, no? Hindi rin natin pwedeng i-reverse yung unearned revenue under liability method, yung depreciation hindi rin pwedeng i-reverse, yung ating bad debts hindi rin pwedeng i-reverse, and also the merchandise inventory for merchandising business should not be reversed. Okay? And take note as well, guys, that just like worksheet and preparation of the post-closing trial balance, okay, reversing entries are simply optional steps. Okay, so let me remind you that there are three optional steps na nabanggit natin throughout our discussion of service and merchandising business. And they are the same, the worksheet, the post-closing trial balance, and the reversing entries. Okay? So kanina in the introduction of this discussion, no, I have introduced to you again the 10 steps in the accounting process, including the optional steps. But let me just end this theoretical discussion for the completion of the accounting process for merchandising business, okay, with the cycle again or accounting process. But by this time, okay, so tatanggalin ko na yung ating mga optional steps. Okay, so we have the um, identifying and analyzing of business transactions, which after that you will journalize. Okay, after journalizing, you um, posts those journalized entries in the ledger or book of final entry natin. Then after journalizing and posting everything, then you will prepare the trial balance. Okay. Ngayon, supposed to be the step number 5 is the preparation of the worksheet. But since in this last part of my discussion, I opted to eliminate all of the optional steps. Kaya wala yung step number 5 na worksheet. But after the trial balance were prepared, you will skip and proceed to the journalizing and posting of the adjusting entries. Okay? So yun na yung kasunod na step after nung preparation of trial balance kung walang no, worksheet preparation. And after journalizing and posting the adjusting entries, saka ka pa lang po magpe-prepare ng financial statements. Okay? Then after that, you journalize and post the closing entries. Okay? Um, sorry. So supposed to be, ay wait lang. La. Okay. So wait lang nag-stop yung aking screen sharing. Okay. So eventually, after the preparation of the financial statements, no? Okay, so we will immediately proceed with the posting of the closing entries. So tinanggal na natin yung reversing entries as well as the post-closing trial balance since they are also optional steps. Okay, so depending upon the entity's discretion, no? Pwede nilang alisin yung some of the optional steps, but these 7 steps, no, that are necessary to carry out the accounting process, okay, should push through since this is where we tackle no yung mga transactions natin and how we prepare the financial statements, okay, that will be used by our users no in their decision making. Okay, so I hope na naintindihan niyo po yung theoretical discussion natin. So don't worry guys, no, this is just a theory discussion, a reminder to you about the um, accounting for merchandising business, no, the completion of the process. Okay, and we will give example of this completion, okay, in our succeeding meetings. Okay, so we will have to prepare. Actually, I will be giving you a problem, no, or set of problems, okay, in regards to the preparation of the worksheet, okay, until the reversing entries for merchandising business. So let's just wait for another video discussion, okay, or even synchronous discussion about the problems, no, or um, computations related and actual application of this completion of the accounting process. So, okay. So, if you do have questions, just let me know lang po, no, in our chat box or even comment your questions in this video. Okay, so thank you very much again. Okay, and happy listening. Stay safe, everyone, and God bless. Okay, so kamsamida. Okay, bye bye, everyone.